Hi guys, I'm Jianwei, and I am what you may call an accidental Taoist. Born into a Taoist family, I have been helping out at the temple ever since I was young. However, I never got the opportunity to learn much about my religion, and whenever I will ask my grandmother about why we do certain things, she will just say, "Mai meng lah." So, I decided to go on this adventure to find out about the things I've always wanted to ask the questions I never got the answer for. Join me on this journey as an accidental Taoist.
Well, if you're a Taoist like me, you probably would have seen one of these before, a talisman. So ever since I was young, my grandmother would always ask me to burn these in water and just drink it. For any occasion. Exams coming up, drink. Going overseas, drink. Can't find a girlfriend? Well, I don't think you can use this for finding a girlfriend. Anyways, talismans have always been a part of my life. I still carry one with me all the time. Today, I'm here to answer questions that you probably never thought about. Or maybe you could have, but never really got the answers to. Like me. Maybe you have asked, where do they come from? How do they work? What other uses are there? And more importantly, do they work? Well, first off, a little bit of history on where talismans began. Now, there are many proposed theories on the origins of the Taoist talismans and the stylistic aspects of the scripts used. However, do note that much of these accounts came from folklore, which can be confusing at times. Much of these stories are part of a rich oral tradition that are passed down from generation to generation. So, legend has it that in the book Santong Shenfu Ji, it is written that the talisman is originally condensed in the sky. The Supreme Perfection, or Titan, faced upwards, wrote the heavenly writings, differentiated the directions, and distinguished pictures and drawings from the writings of the talismans. Yeah, I don't really get it either. But what this essentially means is that the very first talisman was a creation of a divine being, and its processes was then depicted as such by the very same divine being. Now, this was then imparted by the deity above all other deities, Taishang Laojun, and other immortals. They then passed down this knowledge to men and imparted the skills to use them. Therefore, it's important to note that not just anyone can draw these talismans. Like, if you were to see here, even Shopee sells talismans. I'm not kidding, look it up. This will work, however, if it is done by someone who has received proper teachings from a master in the art of talismans and the divine mandate to do so. Otherwise, it's pretty much just scribblings on a piece of paper. Now, let's discuss how the talismans work. First, the papers or strips of cloths used for the talismans have to be consecrated and kept properly before use. You know, in somewhere holy. Fun fact, did you know? The ink used for writing talismans in the past are commonly made of cinnabar, as it is deemed to have sacred properties. Sometimes, minium is used too. More interestingly, however, even the blood of the medium or ordained priest are used. It is thought to be a more powerful conduit by some to invoke the powers of the medium or the priest, and better connection with their divine powers. However, cinnabar is known to cause mercury poisoning when ingested over time or in large quantities, and thus is no longer used today in Singapore. Rather, red food dye is used instead. Maybe you're wondering, does the talisman become less powerful? Well, we spoke to Master Priest Benjamin Tan from the Taoist Federation Singapore, and he told us that there in fact isn't any. It's important to note that in ancient times, dyes and inks were often made of minerals and plants available. Synthetic dyes aren't invented yet and unavailable, unlike today. Now, if you were to look at the talisman, you may wonder, what do all these diagrams mean? I mean, it does look pretty confusing. But stick with me. Everything on the diagram here has its own meaning. The head of the talisman contains the symbols and descriptions to consecrate the talisman. So, in this sense, it is similar to initiating a command in the computer program, where keywords and commands are used to call and indicate the functions. The body of the talisman describes the use or function of the talisman. At times, you may see the name of the deity that is empowering this talisman by his divine will. So, like an email system, you indicate who the sender is and the subject matter of the message. The ribbons on the sides are not for decoration. Instead, they function like circuits of power that the ordained priest or medium has to chant while drawing it. These are also known as the belts of the talismans. It is similar to that of using the correct combination to unlocking a lock, similar to a decryption protocol. The feet of the talisman is like the command in a software program that signals the end of the program, and it usually contains a signature or nerve of the talisman. This nerve contains the unique signature of the author of the talisman and functions as the core that powers the talisman. Oftentimes, it is mistaken as a huge ink blob. However, this is only due to the fact that the priest has to continuously draw on the very same spot until it is properly and effectively sealed. They stop when they feel that the power has been properly induced in the talisman. The seals on the talisman are representative of the deity invoked to consecrate the talismans and the permission given to invoke their divine power. This is known as the officiating process. This is similar to how the ancient official documents will have proper official seals to certify the authenticity of the documents. Finally, the ordained priest will take the talisman to the deities on the altar and do the official reporting verbally through specific edicts. It is to inform the deities this specific talisman is being drawn. After the reporting procedure, the person would then need to request the deities to descend the energy through them to energize the talisman at hand. And there you have it, a working talisman. Now, the design of the talismans come from a very long and complex history. So I'm just going to summarize it for you. The design of the talismans is modeled after the tallies used by the imperial administration in the Han Dynasty as identifications to verify the ruler's written orders, or as tokens of authority. Authentication was confirmed when the two split halves of the tally were joined together, combining a juridical administrative logic with the notion of a divine script and true form images. Revealed talismans and diagrams became ubiquitous tokens of divine approval, confirming a ruler's receipt of the mandate to rule by the Han Dynasty. Taoists were instrumental in developing ritual technologies related to talismans and diagrams. However, the other actors in the religious landscape of medieval China, most notably Buddhists, also made ample use of them. Given we know what powers it now, what do people usually use its mystical powers for? Well, you can just treat talismans as a key to a problem. Now, every problem is obviously unique, and thus the talismans are too. By ordained priests and spirit mediums, they are used as catalysts for their rituals. Pretty much, every ritual will begin with a talisman. For devotees like me, we wear the talismans for general protection, but there are those customized for the specific user and specific purpose. Usually, the effect of the talisman is prolonged over time, so long as the taboos of wearing the talismans are properly observed. Failure to do so may render the talismans useless. Some of these talismans need to be exchanged or recharged over a period of time. However, something more commonly heard of, talismans are ingested, often burnt and mixed with water, for immediate and urgent effects. It is believed that ingesting the talisman is the most immediate application of the use of talismans. Now, for probably the most important question, do they work? Now, there have been many case studies of the past which has shown that talismans did improve the lives of devotees, most of which were passed down orally from generation to generation. However, in this modern day and age of advanced medicine, you could be skeptical of the validity of talismans. It's important to note that the talismans played an important role of keeping their bearers safe in a time when science and medicine weren't as advanced today or as available. Nevertheless, they remain a treasured tradition that is still revered by those that believe in it. I believe that as with all religions, should you have faith in your religion, you will believe that it will work. This really applies to any faith. Okay, so my final thoughts on this after doing research and writing for this episode is that I have come to better appreciate my own talismans and, more importantly, my culture. I finally got the answers to questions I've always had ever since I was young. But this is just the beginning. In future episodes, I want to further discover the many mysteries and wonders of this wonderful religion of mine. In the next episode, I'm going to cover about why we burn paper offerings. So, join me in the next episode. This is your accidental Taoist Jianwei signing out.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you like what you see, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel, as that will really support me on my journey as an accidental Taoist. See you in the next episode.